If you get close to God, the closer to God you get, the more of God that will be revealed, Jesus himself. Why not see Jesus now? Why not see Jesus in the mirror? Oh, I'm not being weird. He says that we ought to be like him. Why shouldn't you look in the mirror and see Jesus? Why should you not come to church and see Jesus all around? You know what the word Christian means? Little Christ. Little Christ. Imitators of Christ. That's what a Christian is. Why do we have to wait until death? Why do we have to wait to heaven to see Jesus? Why can't we see Jesus now if we are his children? I was in, I don't know the name of the town. I was in Texas. This is going to hurt my son's feelings, so you might plug them up. We'd stopped at a restaurant to eat on our way home, and the ladies had sat over on a bench, and Jeremy and I were about 4 or 5 feet apart, and you had to wait to get in, and they were taking names, and the woman was trying to make sure she had everybody, and she looked at Jeremy, and she said, were you waiting on a table separately? And he said, no, I'm with him. She said, well, you look like him, but I wasn't sure. And I said, oh, man, she just slapped him right upside the head. Just slapped him right upside the head. I didn't know what she meant. He looked old. I don't know exactly what she meant. But from 4 or 5 feet away, the woman looks, and she says, oh, that's got to be his son. She thinks I've had some settling, some foundational problems. What are you saying, preacher? Well, I'm telling you a funny story about my son and I. No. Shouldn't people be able to see the Father in you? That's what I'm saying. Shouldn't people be able to see the Father in his children? That's all I'm saying. Now, isn't that a simple point? Isn't that what he says? He says, what manner of love the Father has bestowed on us that we should be called the children of God. If he is our Father, then the traits of the Father should be demonstrated in the children. That's all I'm saying, and I think that's very easy. Children don't confuse things. They believe what we say. Sometimes they're almost gullible. You can tell them something, and they want to believe it. They want to believe us. Children accept things at face value. Adults are skeptical. Adults look for a catch in everything. There's got to be a catch to it. Got to be a catch to it. Kids live a happier, simpler life because they don't want to have a catch. They just simply want to trust and obey. They don't always want to obey. That's when I get to point 2. Children do trust, though, where adults doubt. So I'm saying we need to be children of God. We need to have the traits of a child in those simple ways of accepting who God is. Now, point number 2. Children do not naturally hate. Children do not naturally hate. Children naturally lie through their teeth. That's called carnality. Children steal. Children are into self-preservation. I use this probably 3 to 5 times a year. It's always good because I think there's a problem with parenting, not children. I love this story, though, because I think Bill Cosby's where I heard it, but it's so true, and there's always new parents around. So listen, parents, it's not the children's problem, it's the parents' problem. Little Johnny's in the living room. Mom's in the kitchen. Mom's washing dishes. Mom hears a loud crash in the living room. Runs into the living room. Lamp laying on the floor with a baseball beside it. Lamp's crushed. Mom looks at little Johnny, the only other living soul in the house, and says, "Who did that?" Little Johnny, being aware of his surroundings, goes, "She doesn't know." So little Johnny, thinking Mom's really out of touch, goes, "I don't know," hoping to somehow get around the trouble that he knows he's going to be in if he says, well, that is my baseball, and I am the only other person. No, see, parents set their children up to lie to them. You go in the room and you say, Johnny, what have I told you about playing baseball in the house? You're going to be in trouble. Go to your room and leave that baseball right there. You don't play with the baseball for 2 days. Then little Johnny would go, because little Johnny knows he did what he wasn't supposed to. He knows he broke the lamp. He knows you know he broke the lamp, and he will face it. But no, in our superior mentalities, we play games with little Johnny, and so he plays back, and then we're mad at little Johnny. You lied. You didn't know. You had to figure it out. That is natural. But children do not by nature hate. That's a learned trait. Hating is not natural, really, for hardly anybody. We don't by nature hate. We always want to give the benefit of the doubt. My wife used to have a really tough job. A lot of you have to work with children. Sometimes you can find a child that has been abused by their father. I'm going to say a little girl. Let's say you have a middle teenage girl who's been abused by her father. The father gets caught, and they're going to put him in prison. You know what that little girl's going to do? Bawl her eyes out. She loves her dad. She doesn't want her dad to go to prison. She wants to hold him one more time and tell him bye. And you say, you're crazy. You know what he's been doing to you? And you want to hug him? Yes, she does. She loves her dad. Children don't naturally hate. They have to be taught that by adults. 1 John, we're going to jump down now. 1 John 3, 10 through 12. In this, the children of God and the children of the devil are manifest. Whoever does not practice righteousness is not of God. Whoever does not practice righteousness is not of God, nor is he who does not love his brother. See, loving our brother is the natural inclination. For this is the message that you heard from the beginning, that we should love one another. Not as Cain, who was the wicked one, who was of the wicked one, and murdered his brother. Why did he murder him? Because his works were evil, and his brothers were righteous. Now, I thought we may not know that story real good, so we're going to go back to Genesis and just touch that story real quickly. Genesis 4, 3 through 8. This is important. In the process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought an offering of the Lord, of the fruit of the ground to the Lord, and Abel brought of the firstborn of his flock, and of their fat. And the Lord respected Abel and his offering, but he did not respect Cain and his offering. And Cain was angry, and his countenance fell. Now, please get these verses right here. So the Lord said to Cain, why are you angry? Why has your countenance fallen? If you do well, will you not be accepted? And if you do not do well, sin lies at the door, and its desire is for you, but you should rule over it. That's a hard verse. I'm really not sure that Cain had sinned in bringing the offering, but when it was not accepted, the anger that came up inside him, God was warning him clearly about sin in his life. Now Cain, and we have no idea what this is, now Cain talked with Abel his brother, and it came to pass when they were in the field that Cain rose up against Abel his brother and killed him. Killed his own brother because of anger, hatred. Who was he angry at? God or Abel? Abel brought an offering, he brought an offering. Abel's was accepted, his was rejected. So he hates his brother instead of God. God saw it in him. God saw it and warned him, don't let sin in. Sin is crouched at the door. If you open that door,